afternoon and welcome to round number 3 of the Rothmans Porsche Turbo Cup Series from Le Circuit Mont Tremblant, Quebec. Hello, I'm Joe Tilley. Pat Gonzalez and I are here today in the beautiful Laurentian Mountains north of Montreal, the first of 3 stops at this track in this series. We've had some very exciting racing so far, close racing for every position, and some very unfortunate luck for many of our drivers. No less than 12 of these beautiful Porsche 944 turbos have had extensive repairs to bring them back to full race trim after the first 2 races. It was here on the concrete-lined streets of Niagara Falls, New York, that Scott Goodyear prevailed over 26 other Porsche drivers for his second pole position, his second win, and a clear lead in the championship point standings. Here are the top 10 drivers. Goodyear is followed by Case Nierop. Rookie Stefan Proulx next. Then it's Montrealer Richard Laporte, Cam Champion, veteran Ludwig Heimrath, Spanard, Malcolm, Gu, and with 24 points, David Tennyson. Today, we're back at a permanent racetrack, and although many drivers, Pierre Desmarais, Jacques Bienvenu, and Richard Laporte among them, have tested here before, the first race at a circuit with these new turbo Porsches is always a bit of an adjustment as the right suspension and tire setups are explored. Here's Pat Gonzalez with a look at how the Pirelli tires are a factor on these new race cars.
This year's Rothmans Porsche Turbo Cup Series not only has a brand new race car, but new racing rubber as well, the Pirelli P0. The tire was developed from the Italian tire company's Formula One involvement in 1985 and 1986 that produced tires like these. Based on that tire development, the P0 was born. The drivers in this year's series have the choice of this racing slick or a treaded tire that is actually street legal for the wet. This tire is available in limited quantities from your local Pirelli tire dealer. Now, one of the busiest men at any race is Pirelli tire technician Nick Ruccolo. And I asked him what Pirelli hoped to learn from having their tire raced in this year's series.
The P0 is a derivation from the Formula One experiences, and Pirelli believes in research and development, so this is why the investments in research and development are so high. Considering that the 944 Turbo is a very fast car and the G-force and loads are considerably high, the tire is doing a great job. The drivers are quite happy with the adherence and the grip that the tire is providing. So we believe that if we can do a job for them, it will certainly do a job for the average consumer. And if I may add, I think that racing does teach tire manufacturers a lot of experience. And after every race, we report to the factories all the gathered information.
And that information is critical as the teams search for those elusive hundredths of a second that can put their car on the pole. It's all part of the testing that goes on before race time at each of the different tracks.
One man who should know if the car is right is 1987 Series champion Richard Spanard. Richard, who did not finish the last race in Niagara Falls, is now 7th in the point standings. He's raced here at Mont Tremblant many times before and has been testing the last couple of days. We asked him if he now has the advantage he needs to ensure a win here today.
Not really, you know, people racing with me and competing the same series and are good in that series are Scott Goodyear, Stefan, Case. I mean, we all have some experience here, and you don't need, it doesn't matter if you have 1,000 miles or you have 100 miles. If the driver is good, in 100 miles, we'll learn that track as well as if you would do it in 1,000 miles. But, so I don't feel I have an advantage. I think I know that track very well. I do a good job here, but it's not a matter of because I lived around here that I have an advantage, just because I think I'm doing a pretty good job on this track.
This is Scott Goodyear testing the number 9 Pop 84 Fat Porsche earlier. With 50 points in the standings after wins at Mosport and at Niagara Falls, New York, he almost looks unbeatable, Joe.
Well, Goodyear is going to have his hands full on this 4.6-kilometer course today. He follows Proulx, Spanard, Nierop, Laporte, Bienvenu, who are all anxious to catch him in this championship point standings. We'll be back with more of the Rothmans Porsche Turbo Cup Series from Mont Tremblant, Quebec, right after this. Welcome back to the Rothmans Porsche Turbo Cup Series from Le Circuit Mont Tremblant, Quebec. This is event number 3 of 8 championship races. As the cars make their way around this 4.6-kilometer track on their pace lap, here's Pat Gonzalez with a starting grid.
On the front row, it'll be rookie Stefan Prue, and alongside Motomaster teammate Richard Spenard, Prue's first pole position of the series. The second row, 1986 champion Case Nierop and rookie Richard Laporte. Laporte getting faster at each round. In the third row, it'll be Jacques Bienvenu, one of his best qualifying efforts, and alongside the current points leader Scott Goodyear. In row 4, it'll be Jacques Lelièvre and Rick Bai in the Reebok Porsche. Row 5, Raymond David and Cam Champion. In the 6th row, David Tennyson and David Seabrook. Row number 7 has David Deacon and Dirk Holman of Calgary. In the 8th row, Brian Malcolm and Ludwig Heimrath. In row 9, it'll be Chris Gleason and Claude Gu. In the 10th row, Zab Aberman and Reinhold Schill. In row number 11, it'll be Nicholas Hornbostel and Uli Bieri. In the 12th row, Ted Powell and Len Campbell. And in the 13th and final row, it'll be Pierre Desmarais and Larry Caruso. The field of Porsches going through Namaro turn. Behind the pace car, you're inside Richard Spenard's Porsche. As he comes up to the line, the pace car pulls off to the left, and Prue jumps ahead, and they will not get a start. They do not get a start. Stefan Prue tried to anticipate the green coming out, and he jumped ahead. We do not have a start, Joe.
Pat Stefan has had great finishes in the first couple of races, but starting here in the pole, it might have made him a little bit anxious. I asked him during qualifying how he feels about his front row position.
I feel pretty good about it. First two races, one in Mosport, one in Niagara Falls, I wanted to get to feel the car first, you know, because those cars are quite fast, and a little mistake could be quite disastrous. So I was holding back a bit, but this weekend for me, it's going good.
Well, Stefan was not holding back at all on that first attempt of the start. He jumped ahead of Spenard. They did not get the green, and we now understand that officials here, the CASC officials, are considering a time penalty for Stefan Prue. You're inside Richard Laporte's car as the field comes up here now for a start, and there is Spenard and Prue as they continue to move back and forth on that front line. The cars must be lined up side by side as they come up to the starter's stand. And there you can see actually some bumping going on back there. They've really slowed the pace down, but now they do get a green. Spenard and Prue side by side as the field follows in. There's Scott Goodyear moving through into 4th. You're with Scott Goodyear now as he made a nice move there on the start to pick up a couple of spots. They break through this right-hander. It is Stefan Prue, your leader. Richard Spenard in 2nd. Case Nierop runs 3rd. And what a move here by Scott Goodyear. He's charged up into the 4th place position. It's then Richard Laporte. You're with the 5th place driver, as there you can see Goodyear put a couple of wheels up onto the speed curbing. Stefan Prue leads here on the opening lap. Richard Spenard right there in 2nd. Case Nierop 3rd. Goodyear 4th. And Laporte back in 5th. Joe, that was quite a move by Goodyear on the start, and you're with Scott Goodyear right now.
It certainly was, Pat. Scott Goodyear is our point series leader, and he doesn't like being back in 6th spot. He's used to being up at the front, and he wasted no time getting up there.
The front cars out of the back hairpin, up the back straightaway. It is Scott Goodyear making a move now on Case Nierop up the back straightaway. He'll try to slingshot around him here. Goodyear to the inside of Case Nierop, and he'll pick up the position. So Scott Goodyear is really on the charge here in the opening lap of our Rothmans Porsche Turbo Cup race. There are the two cars he's trying to chase down. Richard Spenard, who runs in 2nd, and just ahead of him the leader, Stefan Prue. And Goodyear now is definitely closing up. You could see from the onboard camera that he's made up several car lengths. They come under the bridge. Prue 65, your leader, locking the brakes up there for just a moment. Spenard right there in 2nd, Goodyear 3rd, and Nierop 4th.
Rounding out the top 10, it's Richard Laporte, followed by Jacques Bienvenu, Cam Champion, Jacques Lelièvre, Raymond David, and David Seabrook.
The leaders back into turn 1. Stefan Prue continues to lead teammate Richard Spenard, and they're being reeled in by Scott Goodyear, who continues to chip away at the margin up to the 2 lead cars. It is still Case Nierop right there in 4th, and Nierop has his hands full with Richard Laporte and also Jacques Bienvenu, who's turning in a great run. Further back in the pack, look at this train of cars as they battle for positions just inside the top 10. Stefan Prue, there you can see Spenard is close to within just half a car length as they run it out of the back hairpin, and Spenard now will try to draft off of him as they come up over the crest of the hill. And of course, Stefan Prue not only having to contend with Richard Spenard, but a time penalty that could be assessed at the end of this race for messing up on the start when he tried to anticipate the green, and the drivers had to come back around another time before they got this one underway. But is Prue your leader, followed by Spenard?
Pat, as we watch our leaders, we've just received word that one of our top qualifiers, Rick By, has come into the pits with an ignition rotor problem. Rick, the lead driver and manager of a 3-car team in this series, is actually fixing his own car right now.
There is Rick By's bright yellow driver's suit as he works with one of the crew members on the problem trying to get back into the race. There is Reinhold Schill and Uli Bieri showing some of the battle scars. There has been some contact out there on the racetrack. It is now a 3-driver race for the lead as Scott Goodyear has come right up onto the 2 Motormaster cars. You're aboard Richard Spenard's car as he tries to chase down Stefan Prue, but Scott Goodyear continues to close on the front-running 2 cars. There you can see they stretched it back out just a little bit, but Scott is able to catch back up, but somewhere on that racetrack, Prue and Spenard are going a little bit faster. Richard Laporte, the 5th place car, as he closes in on Case Nierop, and he has got perhaps the best seat in the house to watch the battle among the front-running 4 cars. Up ahead, you can see Prue and Spenard, and then just ahead of him, Nierop and Scott Goodyear. Over the crest of the hill, there you can get the interval. Scott Goodyear, under braking, will close it up here into turn number 10 at the end of the straightaway. But it's still Stefan Prue who started here from the pole position. Richard Spenard right there in 2nd, Goodyear 3rd, Case Nierop 4th, and Richard Laporte back in the 5th place position. As they come under the bridge, Richard Spenard is closing right up on Stefan Prue. Scott Goodyear right there in 3rd.
Pat, that's Performance Cars President Cam Champion slowing down. And he's pulling off the track. He's obviously out of this race. We'll have more of the Rothmans Porsche Turbo Cup Series from Le Circuit Mont Tremblant, Quebec. Welcome back to round 3 of the Rothmans Porsche Turbo Cup Series. I'm Joe Tilley with Pat Gonzalez. Series points leader Scott Goodyear is chasing Stefan Prue and Richard Spenard. Case Nierop and Richard Laporte follow out of the hairpin.
Scott Goodyear has been closing on each lap on the front-running 2 cars. Nierop in that polyvoltaic car having problems staying up at the front lead 3 cars, and then right behind him there is Richard Laporte. He has locked up the brakes coming off the end of the back straightaway. He's off the racetrack. Laporte trying to get back onto the pavement, and what a job of driving by Richard Laporte. And from the onboard camera, you were right there alongside with him as he had a few anxious moments there at the end of the back straightaway. That is going to cost him a lot of ground on the racetrack and take him away from this lead battle that's really heated up. There is Goodyear. He's closed right up on Spenard, who is trying to chase down his teammate Stefan Prue. And there you can see the interval back to Case Nierop. He is not able to run up with the front-running 3 cars. David Seabrook leads the train here for that 10th place position.
Tennyson in 11th, followed by Dirk Homan. Pat Stefan Prue is even lifting a wheel through turn 1. He's really pushing it. The possibility of that penalty for the jump start means that Prue has to extend a gap that Spenard just isn't giving him right now.
Richard Spenard is staying right with Stefan Prue regardless of how hard he pushes it. There's that battle for 10th. Tennyson, Dirk Homan in the black number 50 car, then Brian Malcolm, and then Claude Gu. Those 5 drivers really going at each other, and that's for the 10th place position. Up front, Spenard up to the outside, out of the hairpin. It looked as though he was going to try to get around the 65 car of Stefan Prue as they came out of the hairpin, but he was not able to. Over the top of the hill into turn 10, and Scott Goodyear is closed right up. This is the closest these 3 drivers have run all race long, and Stefan Prue really has the heat on. The question is, can the rookie hold off these 2 veteran drivers as you're with Scott Goodyear as he looks up on the 2nd place car of Richard Spenard. The 3 cars tightly bunched, and you can see how Goodyear is having to muscle the steering wheel on this Porsche 944 Turbo on a very rough circuit here at Le Circuit. Under the bridge they'll come. It's still Spenard trying to chase down Stefan Prue, and Scott Goodyear, boy, has he done a job after qualifying 6th fastest and getting up here with the 2 drivers who started on the front row. Still Prue, Spenard, and Goodyear. Then Case Nierop in 4th, and then a long, long way back in that 5th place position would be Richard Laporte after running off the racetrack earlier.
Pat, this course is one of the toughest in the country on tires. These drivers are doing everything they can just to stay on the course right now.
Well, part of the secret of running here at Tremblant is preserving the tires on a tough racetrack, but these drivers are pushing those Pirelli P0s to the limit. And there's Spenard. He puts a couple of wheels up out of the speed curbing and into the grass, and Scott Goodyear has moved through. There you can see from the onboard camera camera aboard Spenard's car as Scott Goodyear moves that Pop 84 Porsche into second place. So now it is Scott Goodyear who's taken over that second place position, and for a moment Stefan Prue has a little bit of room now over the second place car. There's Case Nierop in the fourth place position. Stefan Prue, 65-year leader, and to the inside, Spenard looking to retake that second place position. He had a wheel to the inside of Goodyear, but now he'll have to tuck in behind as they head up to the top of the hill. Scott Goodyear under pressure now from Richard Spenard. He wants back that second place position.
Pat, it looked like Spenard was trying to set up Prue for a pass, but he got a little wide there. Scott Goodyear takes advantage, as he often does, and now he's in second spot.
You're aboard Richard Spenard's car as he tries to get back into that second place spot and go after the leader, Stefan Prue, but for the moment he sits back in the third place position.
That's Ray David leading the second pack down the back straight. David Deacon at 17, David Seabrook side by side. Seabrook will take that ninth position as that train of 944s heads through the S's. A very good race today for David Seabrook.
You're on board Richard Spenard's car, the third place driver, as he tries to chase down Scott Goodyear. And just up ahead in your picture there, the leader, Stefan Prue. Here is Spenard to the inside of Goodyear. But again, he shuts the door and Spenard is not able to get around. And right now, Spenard is losing some ground to Prue. He appears to be just inching away from the second place battle. Spenard to the inside of Scott Goodyear. And again, Goodyear will not let him get by. Spenard pulls up to the outside now of Goodyear into the turn, and Scott will hold him off. Case Nierop in the three-car runs fourth, and Richard Laporte back in fifth.
Pat, if that possible penalty to Prue is upheld, Scott Goodyear could win from this position. I asked him before the race if his 2 wins gives him a chance to be a little more conservative this race.
I think that you still want to win every event, and that's what we're here to do. In every race you go into, you want to win each event. But there's still a lot of competition there, and Case Nierop was tough last race, and he's come up from the first race. So I think that no matter who's there, you have to keep on pushing. But the key thing is to win races, to win the championship. So we want to collect the points, so that's what we're here for.
Well, there's more than one driver who would love to win it here at Mont Tremblant. You're inside Richard Spenard's car as he moves to the inside of Scott Goodyear. Spenard has moved into that second place position. Spenard and Goodyear battling side by side, but coming out of the turn, it'll be Richard Spenard into second. Scott Goodyear runs third. Case Nierop there in fourth, and Case is not that far back. Neither is the fifth place driver, Richard Laporte, as they head over top of the hill. Prue, your leader. There you can see the interval back to Spenard, who now has retaken that second place position. Goodyear just a car length or two away in third, followed by Case Nierop and Richard Laporte.
Rick By in that number 8 Reebok car is back in the race, but he's down 5 laps from our leaders. A great effort by Rick, and he's very popular with his crowd here at Mont Tremblant.
The leaders lapping a slower car, that's 71 Larry Caruso, and there's the battle back in the pack. Tennyson there, 17 Seabrook has dropped back a couple of positions, and then the black car of Holman, the Calgary driver. You're with Scott Goodyear, who's now under pressure from Case Nierop and Richard Laporte. Goodyear has slowed now since being passed by Spenard, and he has dropped back into what is now the third place battle involving 3 drivers. Case Nierop is all over Scott Goodyear for that third place position. There's the blue flag indicating to Goodyear that there is a driver right on him, and Case Nierop wants that third place position. The blue flag again, and there's Nierop. He has made the pass to the inside of Scott Goodyear. A nice move there by Case Nierop. Goodyear now being shuffled back to fourth, and Richard Laporte still holding on to that fifth place position. You're aboard Scott Goodyear's car as he looks now at the new third place driver, and again Case Nierop, who won this championship in 1986, weaving back and forth. Goodyear dives in on the inside. The 2 drivers touch. Goodyear goes off the racetrack. There is Case Nierop from the onboard camera sliding off to the outside. Scott Goodyear keeps his engine running. He will get back onto the racetrack, but Goodyear, here it is, over to the top of the hill. Nierop in third. Goodyear under braking as Nierop is weaving back and forth. He dives in on the inside, locks up the brakes, cannot make the turn, and as Nierop turns in to follow his racing line, the 2 drivers collide and they're off in a cloud of dust. Scott Goodyear was able to get going again, and you're back on board his car, but he has dropped back quite a bit on the racetrack, and Case Nierop, there he is. It looks like he'll have to call it an afternoon.
Nierop surveys the wreck. He looks to be fine. We'll have more racing right after this. Welcome back to the Rothman Cup Series. I'm Joe Tilley with Pat Gonzalez from Mont Tremblant, Quebec. This famous ski resort waits for the snow just as Richard Spinard waits for teammate Stéphane Prou to make a mistake and forfeit that lead.
Richard Spinard has closed it right back up on the leader, Prou, after getting around Scott Goodyear, and he is really putting the pressure on the rookie Stéphane Prou as they run it up through the left-hander. Here is the battle for fourth. Scott Goodyear under pressure from Jacques Bienvenu, and Bienvenu, who qualified well here at Tremblant, making a concerted effort to take that fourth place position away. It is still Prou and Spinard running in tandem as they have broken clearly away now from the third place driver, who would be Richard Laporte, but he's a long way back. You're on board Scott Goodyear's Pop 84 Porsche as he tries to hold off, and no, there is Bienvenu going through in a fourth.
Pat, he's got to feel great about this race. After qualifying, he told me drivers like Scott had a bit of an advantage over him.
And the difference between me and some other driver on that series, they have the chance to sit on the race car at each day if they want. They are instructor and those things. And I am journalist, and pushing the pen and pushing the gas pedal is totally different.
Here's some drivers who've been pushing the gas pedal. You saw David Tennyson go through, then David Seabrook in the 17 car, number 50 Holman, then 44 would be David Deacon, followed by Claude Gu and Brian Malcolm. Those drivers have been swapping positions back and forth all race long. There is Tennyson, he runs up in 7th. Raymond David in the blue and yellow car would be 8th, and Seabrook in 9th, and the black car there of the Calgary driver Dirk Holman back in the 10th place spot, his first Rothmans Porsche Turbo Cup race, and he's doing a pretty good job. Deacon in the yellow car runs in 11th. Back with the leaders, Stéphane Prou and Richard Spinard continue to battle just a car length apart as they run it out of this right-hand turn, and Spinard staying right with Prou after Prou qualified on the pole position. You're aboard Richard Spinard's car now as he comes up onto Prou. The two drivers tied together. That is Rick By, just a few car lengths back, but he of course is several laps down. He made an early trip to the pits, has got back out of the racetrack. Richard Spinard all over Stéphane Prou for the lead, and not only is Prou having to contend with a hard-charging Richard Spinard, but in the back of his mind he knows that there is a possible time penalty for the problems they had on the original start when Stéphane tried to anticipate the green flag coming out and got into the gas pedal a little bit too early, and it took them a second attempt to get this one underway. You're aboard Richard Spinard's car, and there is brakes locking up on Nicholas Hornbostel's car. Ted Powell almost hits him, but the two drivers do a nice job of avoiding each other, and now Hornbostel will pull off the racetrack. Powell will go through. Rick By, who is several laps down, as we mentioned, has the best view for that battle, and here's Spinard. He has taken the lead. Richard Spinard going through on the inside of 65 Stéphane Prou, and Richard Spinard has finally moved his way around the rookie and the pole sitter.
It's too bad Rick By had those problems earlier. He's staying right with them. This is Richard Laporte. Laporte is having some problems. He's off the track. Richard Laporte was running in 3rd place, but he's off the track. That's too bad. The Montreal entrepreneur was having a terrific race.
Joe, I think back to that earlier problem that Laporte had when he locked up the brakes on his car, perhaps put a flat spot on one of those tires, and it appeared as though he might have a flat tire there as he pulled off the racetrack.
Pat, I'm afraid we've got some bad news for Stéphane Prou. CASC officials have just penalized him 15 seconds for that false start.
You're with the leader, Richard Spinard. Stéphane Prou second on the racetrack, but I think that 15-second penalty now will probably push him back as far as 3rd. At the line, checkered flag for Richard Spinard as he wins it. Stéphane Prou right behind him.
A happy winner, Richard Spinard, his first victory of the season. Disappointment for Stéphane Prou. Here are the results. Richard Spinard followed by Jacques Bienvenu. Stéphane Prou, Scott Goodyear in 4th. Jacques Liliev in 5th spot. A good race for him. David Tennyson took 6th. Dirk Holman, Chris Gleason, Brian Malcolm, and Raymond David.
Join us next time from Mosport for round 4 of the Rothmans Porsche Turbo Cup Series. For Joe Tilley, I'm Pat Gonzalez. Good afternoon.